What we've seen this week is a case study for why DEI exists. If you've been paying attention over the last week or so, you've seen the Senate confirmation hearings for Trump's cabinet. And what have you noticed about the people that are being paraded in front of the cabinet? And what you may have noticed about the people that are being paraded in front of the cabinet is that by any objective standard, most of these people aren't qualified to be even considered for the role that they are interviewing for. Republicans love to make the case that they are advocates for a meritocracy. And if that's truly the case, why are these people even brought up for consideration? Think about it. When you go through the list of all of the people that have been presented so far, the only one that is marginally qualified to have the role that he has is Marco Rubio. What we saw this week was Pete Hegseth get confirmed, and Pete Hegseth is a drunk, an abuser, and someone who is a racist and a white supremacist. He's never held a role that involved leading more than 200 people. And he has twice been kicked out of nonprofits for drunken behavior as well as financial mismanagement. And this person, who is supposedly a top tier person out of central casting, according to Cheeto Benito, wasn't good enough to even be on the daily version of Fox News. He was on the weekend. So if he was that great as a TV personality, wouldn't he be on during the week? But no, he was relegated to weekend service when he wasn't off doing who knows what when it comes to white supremacist activity. He gets approved. And what's interesting about his approval is that it required one more Republican to vote no. And when you look at Joni Ernst, who was a Republican who voted yes, she is a veteran and a survivor of sexual abuse, and she voted yes. For those of us who are holding out hope that Republicans would show us some spine, there's your perfect example of how spineless the Republican Party is and how much of a fraud their conversations about the meritocracy are. Pete Hegseth is the definition of somebody who is only in the position because they know somebody. He only exists because of the good old boy network. And if you think about who he's replacing a four-star general. He is somebody that was actually outed for white supremacist behavior by his peers. That tells you his lack of qualifications and discipline. He's only in the seat because he has sworn allegiance to his orange god. And that is the perfect reason and justification for why DEI needs to be a part of a well thought out talent strategy. But Pete's not the only one that is unqualified to hold the job. In some respects, you would think that the Trump administration is trying to play a game of Pokemon by collecting all of the sexual abusers, rapists, pedophile enablers, pet abusers that he can possibly find. Christy Noem is another unqualified hack who has a affinity for killing animals if they get out of line. And she's put in charge of the border. So I wonder how many migrants or detainees she's going to be pulling the trigger on when she's put into power. And you have Linda McMahon, who is going to be coming up, and she covered up a child grooming ring in her wrestling organization. Another great example of somebody who's unqualified to hold the job is RFK Jr. This is somebody who's walking into a high-powered role with a death toll already under his belt. His kook anti-vax theories were directly responsible for the deaths of hundreds of Samoans due to a measles outbreak. And this is somebody who has admitted to having a brainworm, has admitted to doing heroin, and he has openly admitted that it was thanks to his heroin use that he was able to get by in school and get decent grades. This is not somebody that should be in charge of any sort of health or health adjacent policy. He shouldn't be in charge of really anything. None of these people would be actually hireable in a merit-based hiring process. They are only there because of their incompetence and because of their loyalty to the traitor and felon in chief. This is by design. We all know that the felon in chief and the asset in chief has had a 40-year track record of being a sock puppet for the Kremlin. And he is simply in place due to a series of interference activities done at the hands of the Kremlin dating back from 2016 to now. He's only in place to destabilize the US and all of their allies so that Russia can reclaim some of its lost glory. And that's his sole purpose. So he is deliberately putting incompetence in place to break down the machinery of effective governance so that he can actually rob and pillage even more. And all of the things he's doing is a perfect reason and justification for why DEI policies exist in the first place. These policies exist so you have competence that's embedded throughout the entire organization. But just like many other things, Republicans have done a great job of marketing DEI as some sort of giveaway or handout, when in fact, the giveaways and handouts happen when DEI as a talent strategy practice doesn't exist.